What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into tomorrow's lineup. I'm going to hit the football game too, but I figured since I'm going to be recapping how we did today, it just makes sense we do our knock out the NBA picks. So, as I went into before, I love double headers just because I feel like often there's splits between favorites winning and underdogs winning. There's splits between the home team and away team. Not all the time. We did get that 2 days ago where the underdog won on the road and then the home team won at home, the Nuggets and the Suns. So it does happen. Now, I wanted to go into one game that I really like. I like the Lakers game a little more than the Bucks, but I think both of them, I think the lines are a little more revealing than 2 days ago. As far as today, we did good. Spurs, they would have been a nice way to finish it out. Obviously, they were the biggest dog we took. We only took two dogs. We got the Mavericks. We took the Spurs, and they lost, obviously. But we did get the Hornets, so that's nice. I figured, I think without MJ, they're going to have these guys looking pretty good, and they got Rozier and Ball looking pretty good. Brandon Miller had a modest performance, so I think because it's a new ownership, and again, Trey looked awful. I mean, he just did terrible. I don't think he's the guy. He's just going to be, in my opinion, a perennial role player going forward. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy. So that one I liked. Pacers, I went into why I would normally take the Wizards in this spot. I don't even know how Jordan Poole did. I didn't look into the statistics of this game too much. But the Pacers seem to be getting the Kings treatment from last year, where Vegas really likes them, despite them not really having the star power that some of these other teams do. So we got that cover. And we got the Celtics barely. It depends. It started at 3, moved to 3.5. So I'd imagine most people cleared it at 3.5. But I was thinking that one might have been a backdoor cover. Had me a little worried, but Celtics did wind up getting it. So again, a close game. I think the Knicks might make a trade move or something. Or they might just kind of have them like the Cavs, where they repeat like last year. We didn't play the Magic and the Cavs. We did play the Heat. I thought they'd cover. They just barely won. I thought that 9 points was kind of high, so we missed that one. And we didn't play the Raptors, didn't play the Pelicans, Jazz. Like I said, lost the Spurs. And we got the Thunder. Again, I think of the two franchises, to me it's pretty abundant, the one that they are intent on pushing. And the Bulls, they just seem to be around to, I guess, be not even a red herring. They're like a red herring to be a red herring, because they're not quite even in the red herring group. Kind of like the Hawks. I feel like they're just there hanging around, but they're always going to be pretty average until they make some big moves as far as getting some draws. Now, speaking of draws, we have Giannis and Dame now in their first game together, and I'm not gonna lie, I never use numbers. I don't. I mean, I sometimes do. By numbers, I mean gematria. I don't look into the dates and all these different things. But there's like 3 days out of the year that I will look into, like February 16th, January 26th, October 26th. So, and December 6th, because they're the Kobe number, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I see this number everywhere. So we got, of course, we have two 6-point spreads, exactly 6 points. And I don't think one of these spreads makes any sense. Now, there might be an injury. I should say there better be an injury to justify this line, but we'll look into it. First, 76ers Bucks, and again, now actually on the 24th of the season premiere, I liked the second game more than the first game. So we did the first game as a leg 1, and if that lost, the second would become a leg 2. If it didn't, then it was just a leg 1. If it was flipped, obviously we would have did better. We broke even, but I liked the Warriors more than I liked the Nuggets. But we wound up getting the Nuggets. Now for this game, I do like the Lakers game more. But for the 76ers Bucks, I'm going with the Sixers to cover for a couple reasons. The most obvious to me is the line does not make any sense, even if Dame is not playing, which, I don't think that's the case at all. But you got James Harden not playing. Like, even if Dame wasn't playing, imagine this line from last year. This line would be around -6 without Dame, with James Harden out in Milwaukee. When they played in Milwaukee, Milwaukee was always at least 3 4 point favorites, and again that was not without Dame, and that was with a healthy 76ers lineup. So to me, this line makes absolutely no sense at all. Uh, the Bucks might win it, and maybe people are still thinking the Sixers have some stars. I personally think they're going to move on from the Sixers. Now, it could all be, honestly, because the narrative has completely been, this team, they got to get rid of Harden and get a superstar. Embiid's going to leave. They could be doing that on purpose, and suddenly Embiid looks amazing. Maxey really levels up. We could see that. But either way, I don't think that line makes a lick of sense because of the fact that even with a healthy Harden, I would say with a healthy Harden, this line makes about sense, -6, because the Sixers are a good team. But with him out, to me, it just makes no sense. So yeah, I like the Sixers +6. That's going to be a leg 1-for-1 unit. And just like on Tuesday, should that miss, we're going to play this one here as a leg 2. And if it doesn't miss and we do hit it, then we're just going to open a new sequence and play this as a leg 1. So if we win the first, because I'm invoking the logic that I think we're going to get at worst a split. So if I think there's a good chance we're going to get a split, of course, I'm going to play them contingent. So this one I do like a little more. So if we do lose the first game again, this will be for 2 units. I like the Lakers to cover. Again, I said somebody better be injured, not because I wish injury upon anybody, but because it made no sense. Okay, so Devin Booker is a game time decision, and he was obviously the guy that went insane for Phoenix in their win. I think the public does. I don't know. I mean, they're talking about this whole load management thing. I'm not sure how far they're going to go with that. They just said LeBron's going to be limited, but I don't get the -6 when you just got blown out. I get you're at home, but the Phoenix just won in one of the toughest places to win. So at least theoretically, one of the toughest places to win is supposed to be Golden State, and I don't think 6 points, the Lakers giving up 6 makes any sense either. Again, I think it's probably a reason we're seeing the 6s. It's probably because it's 1-2-6, 1-0-2-6. But yeah, I like the Lakers here for the cover. I think the public has to be. I mean, if you just look at it logically, if we thought the public, which I do, and even the people that use the Vegas Insiders and all these different books handles told me that Phoenix was favored, more people were on Phoenix in Golden State, there's no way getting the 6 points. It looks like free money. I mean, plus 200 or something. I just can't imagine at least 80% of the people not being on the Suns to win and the cover. So I don't see a sneaky backdoor type of deal here. I think the Lakers definitely win this game and win it by more than 6. So I like the Lakers for the cover. I expect probably like Reeves to show up. Wood will probably start hitting his 3-pointers. That's kind of his thing. He did it for the Mavs. Like whenever the Mavs would win big, he would just be in that corner nailing threes. So I think the Lakers might run the score up on this one, and I have a feeling Reeves might be the guy, especially with them kind of foreshadowing LeBron's not going to be their main guy. So yeah, I think it's a good 2 picks because I try, again, it's going to happen. It's only 2 games. But I do try and avoid picking both home teams or both favorites because they do often seem to split it up. So hoping we just got the right sequence, and I think we do because both lines just happen to be, in my opinion, very shady as far as, again, I think the Bucks here without Harden should be about 8 or 9 point favorites, and I just don't think it makes any sense. So the Sixers cover makes sense to me, and the Lakers cover makes sense to me. And again, not to get too much into the numbers, but 6-6, they're both 6 point favorites. Obviously, 2 6s is 1-2, 1-2-6. It can't be a coincidence. And the 2 teams that Kobe is connected with, from the soul is Philadelphia, and obviously from his career is Los Angeles. So I do find that interesting. Now you could say, well, maybe they're going to do some Kobe shaming, which has me a little worried because Booker made a very Kobe-like move and then went off for a really good game. After the Lakers lost, he won. So I was wondering, hopefully not reading too much into it because it was on the 24th. But again, the 1-2-6 to me is a much more important number, and it's one that, 24, 42, we do see that all the time. But the 126, it's a 3-digit sequence, and we just see it so often. I see 126, 612. I went into it with Brock Purdy, that connection. So the whole thing's interesting. But yeah, you could go one way and say, well, maybe they're here to shame Kobe. But if you compound it with the fact, just the logical fact that, again, the money has to be on the Suns and is probably definitely on more on the Bucks. I use my gut, to look into the where the public's going to be. My gut is telling me there's no way it's on the Lakers, and it would probably lean Bucks. If I had to guess, I'd say probably 60-40 on the Bucks, because maybe even like 70-30. You got no James Harden. The team's in shambles. I don't see why people would be on the Sixers. So yeah, Sixers cover as a leg one for one unit. Should they lose, we're going to play the Lakers to cover for leg two as 2 units. And should they win, it's just going to remain a leg one for 1 unit. So we did good today. Good start, very early start to the season, very small sample size, but went 4-2 today, and that's including picking 2 straight up dogs, and we almost got the one. Almost doesn't count, unfortunately. Oh yeah, and I wanted to triple, quadruple down on Wemby. He had a rough game. I still know for a fact this guy is going to be a future Jokic. I really do. And if you look at Jokic, if you look at Giannis, Embiid is the only slight outlier, and even he barely put up 20 his rookie year. None of these guys went off. I think it's a trend, and again, it's one of those things, whether it's real or fake, it makes sense, because they're adjusting to a completely different league. So they always, he had a lot of foul problems, turnovers, and they're going to attribute that to him not playing in this league and things of that nature. And again, if that real or fake, it just makes sense, because they're going, in my opinion, they're going to want to break these guys in, show, have them learn the ropes. I don't think anybody's going to come in. I think Luka's the only guy who really came in and just was a menace. But I mean, they were showing this guy, destroying people in basketball when he was 4 years old. So he's kind of like a Bobby Fischer. He's a little bit of a exemption to the rule. But as far as big men specifically, like I said, they all took Giannis. They didn't have him anywhere near a top category. So Wemby will probably have some rough spots, but I do expect the games they win. I think they're going to be a play-in. I really do. And I think the games they win, Wemby's going to be a big part of. He's going to have his moments. So they're not wasting an international superstar. Again, they wouldn't have put all this effort into him. They would have probably scouted him and then decided he's not worth it. Let's go with somebody else. But they obviously are hell-bent on going with him. So, yeah, I think going forward now, because a lot of people probably think, there's a good, even though it's only one game, he just looked like he's not big enough, and he's just a Bargnani 2.0, whatever people are probably thinking about the guy. And it might continue for a couple of weeks. It might continue for half the season. But I still think Wemby, again, within 2 years, is going to start getting the same trajectory that Giannis got. And that's why I still like the Spurs this year for quite a few upsets. So I wanted to go into that because while I wasn't shocked he had a bad first game, I thought they would at least have him come out in the home debut and show off why he's, different, with some crazy blocks, with stretching the floor. And they didn't really do that. They were very careful with it, almost purposely careful. And again, they got Popovich, so I think it's definitely so we can see him grow under Popovich. Because if he comes in and he's amazing, then it's not that it hurts Popovich's legacy, but if he comes in and he's all right, and then Popovich retires and he becomes a future possible Hall of Famer or All-Star, now it's, oh wow, Popovich, he's like Phil Jackson. He just, turns superstars into megastars. So to me, the whole thing makes sense. That's why I think the Spurs are going to gradually get better. So I just wanted to go into that. I think they're probably a pretty good future pick for the play-in. So yeah, Sixers cover. If not, either way, we're playing Lakers cover. Only difference is it's going to be for 2 units if the Sixers don't win. So, like I said, we had a good night tonight. This is from last night. We got the Nuggets. Missed the Warriors. I ran the Spurs as the leg 2, and I was really tossed between them and the Hornets. I thought they both had good stories, good reasons, suspicious lines. Wound up going with the Spurs, but either way, it's all right. We wound up getting most of the rest. We didn't get the Heat, but we got the Hornets at plus odds, got the Thunder, got the Pacers, Celtics, and I had gone into. I posted the Thunder twice. It was an accident. Obviously, we hit it. So if you played it twice, good job. You got twice as much out of it. But I'm not gonna pretend. Oh yeah, it's all on purpose. My last video I went into, I had just posted it twice on accident. But yeah, they wound up winning. I think they're going to be another team. I think the play-in's going to have like Thunder, Spurs, or something like that. I think those two teams make sense for the play-in. Thunder might even finish better than the play-in. To be honest, I think there's a better chance. I could see them finishing better than some teams like the Grizzlies did last year, just because of Ja and some different, factors. So yeah, let me know what you think. I found the Philly connection really interesting. The fact that it's all 1-2-6s showing up, and we'll probably see a lot of 1-2-6s throughout the game. And between that and the lines, I think it just makes sense. I'll have my football pick out tomorrow. Like I said, I just thought it'd be a little, not foolish, but just not the most optimal to convolute my video by doing football and then going into basketball and then doing my basketball picks tomorrow. I just figured I would hit my basketball ones. And to be honest, I've been so entrenched with basketball, I'm not even positive who plays. I thought it was the Saints or something. Okay, Bucks. Oh yeah, I do remember. Bucks, Bills. Okay, so we'll be going into that. 9 points seems a little steep at first because the Bucks haven't been awful, but at the same time, I really don't know the narratives that they're trying to talk about this week, whether they're talking about Josh Allen, Baker. So I'll look into that, and I'll have that video out tomorrow at some point. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.